because we're in that time of political correctness. And do you think that it causes where we sometimes need to get to human communication? Does all that correctness, because we're so guarded now, sometimes we're afraid of saying the wrong thing, so we don't say anything, and that stifles communication that's needed at times for humor and laughter. Because that was one of the issues from the VA. They'd say, you can't say that because we'll get sued by somebody.
Well, I think personally, I've spent a little bit of time, probably too much time, being offended by things in life, and it's like, okay, where does that get us? Where does that get us? If we're going to sit back and be offended the rest of our lifetimes by things people say and do, well, we're not going to get very far, and so I thought some of that political incorrectness was a bit refreshing. But, I think we're in a time and a place right now where, yeah, we're just so caught up in being offended by everything that's happening, whether it's personal or not. And I think we need to be sensitive to people's needs, but we also need to realize that we're all different. We're just trying to get through this thing together. And so there needs to be some common ground there, obviously, but we can't go through life being pissed off and offended. And I've done it. I've been there, right?
Yeah.
So.
But Miss Kim, that first day you were there with us, you took the shot. You just did it. Why do you think as a young intern, you're walking in, you want to make a good impression, you just didn't care because you knew those men needed you being authentic, correct?
Correct. I took a big risk. I said, well, I wish I could have videoed my brain as soon as that, the things you would do to get kicked out of the military. I must have thought really quick because I thought of a lot of things real quick, but yet I spit it out. But my thought was, this is my first day. I might as well get kicked out now. Let's just get it over with. Either I could truly be myself, or forget it. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in a job I cannot, that I can't be myself. And I think actually I got to tell you, one of my favorite RN case managers, one of the nurses at Collaborative Care Hospice, her and I are a trip together because we're crazy. We have a good time. But I got to tell you, two of our supervisors chose us to work with their family members. So I go, then we must be doing something right, because her and I kind of go off the cuff. We're like, I don't know. I just saw Abbott and Costello the other day on TV. So kind of like Abbott and Costello, but not. But it just, do you know what it is? Is it you want to bring that humanness there. And I think it's very similar, being on hospice, having a terminal illness and having a chronic illness like PTSD. It's not going to go away. It's not going away, and I think that there's a piece in there that that's interesting is that we didn't really touch on is, and when I was there at the Pathway Home, they were just researching moral injury. Because when I was there, I go, there's something more to this than there's something more that's happening that we haven't quite figured out yet, right? And it's kind of
what moral injury is, Miss Kim.
So moral injury, and I'll use an example. And especially, I have two friends that are Catholic that served in a combat zone. And I'll come from this perspective. Thou shalt not kill. I'm not right. Thou shalt not kill. And here I go, and I'm killing people. Or there's a particular instance where, a Marine that I worked with at Pathway, he says, Kim, my buddy's in the Humvee, he's crying, and he's burning to death. And he felt like he should have done something. There's not one thing in that moment I could have said to this young man to fix that. So a lot of it is the PTSD therapy wasn't really helping that. So you're reliving this horrible incident. But
Right.
some of the research that I've read, actually, I have a book, Adaptive Disclosure, and it talks about moral injury and how to address it. And they talk about forgiveness, forgiving yourself, right? And I never learned about forgiving yourself in the CBT, or they have the prolonged exposure therapy. This really talks about forgiveness and about learning how to love ourselves somehow, like make some, what I'm saying, like take little steps to heal that deep wound, and I don't know how I got off on that tangent, but it just kind of came out of me.
That's awesome.
That was awesome.
Well, moral,
you
getting back to moral injury, and
Mhm.
again, kind of what I was getting at too is, I was wronged,
Mhm.
and we see it again. You see it in families all the time. You hurt me, and you hit it right on the head. I mean, if we can't forgive people, and I'm speaking to myself, if we can't forgive people, then we can't make progress.
Right.
It's very difficult to make progress without forgiveness and understanding.
I will share that I had a person I dealt with 30 years ago who had come back from a tour in the military in Japan. He was a military policeman at the front gate of the base, and a family was exiting, and he was told by the people, don't let them leave, and they drove through the gate wooden barrier, and he fired directly into the car. And this happened. He was a Native American guy who had an alcohol drug problem that I was helping him with. He killed 6 people in the car where he was, and they were allegedly doing illegal stuff, and he was to come back, and it was okay. The shooting was cleared, and he never dealt with it until he was in his 60s. And that whole time, for that moral wound that he had, and I told him, I had a person teach me one time, you cannot heal a wound unless you drain it emotionally and spiritually and then physically. So that's everything you're talking about, Miss Kim. And what you do with all these patients that you have had up there, and the incidences where there was some death because we didn't quite have a grasp on, with nobody blamed, we didn't have a grasp on the fella that the nature of his post-traumatic stress disorder. He decided to take the lives of 3 people who were supposed to be his healers. So I'm just saying to you and to Tim and to Steve, thank you for what you're doing, Miss Kim. You're an awesome spirit. And I had an evil intent here, because down the pipe, I'm going to ask you to come and play with us and sing songs for us when we do a benefit up in Yountville. And maybe we'll park the truck, the mobile unit up there, and see if we can help the VA with some of their folks. And you and I can put on a little show like we did before up there. And you are an awesome, awesome spirit.
Thank you for joining us in the Barracks. To learn more about our hosts, guests, and how to support Vets Mobile Dental Unit, visit www.inthebarracks.org.